Welcome everyone to the Academy Wilds. I'm here. I'm bringing you on a tour today to the wonder that is the lair of Dear Prismal. I want to go ahead and bring in our tour guide or tour guests. I guess I am the tour guide. Bring in our tour guests, Rafa and Joshi. As guys, I want you to make sure there's a couple rules before we get into it. You guys gotta make sure you don't disturb the animals. No feeding the players. No flash photography because it also scares the players.
But I have some K barbecue. I brought it specifically for them.
Stop. No. This is
okay.
You paid good money for this tour. I'm gonna deliver what I need to. All right. I'm here so I won't get fined. All right. Let's go ahead and get into our first little area. We see Prismal as a majestic player in the Academy Wilds, right? He's a little bit scary. There's some bones in his lair, all right? Things are a little bit rough. Things if you encounter this Prismal, it can be terrifying, all right? So we're going to go ahead and show the first little bit here or come back to us. Yep, we're going to go to the first little bit here. And I want to walk us through the highs and the lows of Prismal. All right. So make sure you're taking notes, guys. Make sure you're taking notes. So you see,
do I hear animal sounds?
You do, because we're in the wilds. All right. So you see, so it starts off right. Prismal is taking what he wants. He's hungry. You can obviously tell that, but sometimes that bites you. All right. It's sometimes you see Prismal's just a little bit over. He's a rambunctious youngling in the Academy Wilds, and sometimes he lets that get hit the best of him. Okay, so do you guys understand that you don't want to approach Prismal's territory because then he'll do things like that where you feel like he's being mean.
It feels like a humming or not a hummingbird, like a bee, right? Like you go for the sting, but like once your stinger's gone,
bees majestic?
They can be.
Okay, well, anyways, bees. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back to what was that? Was that the animal sound? These animals, man, this Academy Wilds gets some rambunctious creatures in here. Oh my goodness. We're gonna go back. All right, guys. All right. Again, Joshi, I saw you pull out your phone last time. Please, no flash photography. You will scare Prismal. All right, so we're gonna go back. Okay. We're gonna go back, and this is where Prismal is part of a pack. There's 5 of them.
True.
And they need some help sometimes. So when you see the rambunctiousness come out of Prismal and he gets a little overzealous and he hurts himself there, he just calls on his friends to make sure that things are going to go his way, all right? And that's what adds up in terms of Academy Wilds, making sure you have friends, all right? So we're going to go ahead and walk through this one as the entire pack, 3 of them, show up. And there's just one poor little Dignitas representative there. And, of course, Prismal is the one that comes out on top in that situation because as we go to the next section of this ecosystem that Prismal is a part of, this top of the food chain predator that we have for Prismal in the Academy Wilds, we are going to see a little bit of a different side, I feel like, coming into this next one. So let's go ahead and bring up this next little bit as it's a lot of members trying to come into Prismal's lair. All right, what did we already talk about? What was the one note that you guys have taken from this entire tour that you guys paid very good money for?
Don't go into Prismal's territory.
Okay, good. So you see the issue here as we're going to roll the clip and watch what unfolds in front of Prismal here. So what are they doing that you should not do?
They're going into his territory, Mazel.
Yeah, they are. And wonderful thing about this is we can be very selective about what we look at because this is Prismal in his best, and afterwards, we don't have to worry what happens.
The game ended after that, right? That was it? CLG
Yeah,
won?
that's it. That's all of it. That's absolutely it. So,
nothing important happened after that point.
Everyone tuning in is like,
Prismal
oh, wow,
good.
it looks like CLG won the game, right? And they go to the post-match history on Reddit. It's like, wait, Dignitas won?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Happened?
We're taking a tour of a specific environmental area in the Academy Wild. It is Prismal's lair. Okay, it doesn't matter what happens outside of it. We're just looking at the majesticness That is Prismal. All right, so I want to recap a little bit, guys. We got to bring you guys to one locale of the Academy Wilds today. Did you have fun? Did you have fun on our little tour? What was your main takeaway?
Don't go into Prismal's territory.
Okay. Is Prismal good?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Rafa, what about you? Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah. Don't.
You sound very unconvinced, Mark.
You paid for this.
Josh says don't go into this territory. My takeaway is don't with Prismal. You know, that's
two different sides of the same coin. I love it.
Yeah, because then it extends outside of his territory too, right? And then everywhere that Prismal goes is his territory.
So I know you guys are gonna be jealous. I'm gonna head off and scamper into the woods that are behind me because they look oh so beautiful. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my time in the Academy Wilds. Hopefully, nothing happens to me because they are pretty crazy out here. Thank you guys for joining me on the tour. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Make sure you drop your PayPal links to me so I can request the money. And make sure that you tune in next time for our tour because I know you guys are gonna be back. Thank you.
Adieu.
Dude. Dude, nature is freaking lit, Mark. Power through.
And
Well,
if anyone,
I think if people are aware, the game went on for another 25 minutes after that last.
yeah.
There's a lot more, and I feel like
Longer
Prismal,
than that. 30 minutes, man.
30. Oh yeah, true. Prismal was a predator during a lot of that game, but the real predator, I feel like, was a snake.
It was Darkwings.
Darkwings.
Sorry, that was cringe.
Are you a
My
tunnel
bad.
snake?
Yeah.
Do you rule?
No. No. And I know what you're referring.
That's good. I was pretty on the nose.
Now,
We
the
definitely
other
saw
thing
a
about
bit of it.
this game, CLG had played everything out correctly, and they did a great job. But I think when we look at the second half of the game, actually, you know what? Let's bring in Mazel so we can talk about the second half of the game, because I'm pretty sure that he wants to also share his elation about, holy crap, Dignitas turned that game around off of Darkwings.
I was just having a really good time wandering through the meadow, and I was told I had to come back here. So, no. What a game! Oh my God! What? Like, they hadn't. I messaged our producer, Kelsey Moser, in the middle of that game. I was like, Dignitas haven't taken a tower in 40 minutes, and now they're about to win the game. Like, how does that even happen? And unfortunate for CLG, who on the other side, have been that consistent team, have been that strong performer, and they did perform strongly, just didn't hold on to it.
I mean, we were setting it up over and over again, and I kept saying that CLG needed to be the ones who are making plays, who are trying to end the game. Otherwise, what we saw happen was going to eventually happen, and CLG came so close to actually winning the game. And there's one moment, there's one decision that I think actually turned this game from a win for CLG into what happened. And it has to do with Triple. And Triple has been one of our standout players in the mid lane, but he made one crucial mistake this game. And we were praising him for his patience over and over. He was sitting in the bot lane, not touching the minions. He wasn't doing anything, but when the game looked like it was over, he ran out of patience. He teleported into the base alone and got eaten alive, swallowed whole by Darkwings. And once that happened, there was not enough damage left for the rest of CLG to actually take down the rest of the base. Prismal going down to spawn at the very end, and two hero plays, or two heroes for Dignitas, end up winning them the game because CLG were just slightly too fast with what they were trying to do.
It's actually incredible how many little minute moments happen in that game, especially in the later parts that mean so much. And Dignitas is called to go to the Baron, all those kinds of things. But as soon as we saw that play, as soon as I heard the Rafa energy flow through my headset, that we were about to see a turnaround and that Darkwings was just murking people on the Snake Lady, like there's no chance. Like, I felt
Isaac,
it in my soul that they were going to come back from that. And then you see the Baron, and then you see the fights afterward. Nobody can touch the carries of Dignitas, and it's really difficult. So now I guess the question is, how do you come back? What is the mentality shift? It's not even a mentality shift. How do you make sure to draft scaling for yourself on CLG?
I imagine for CLG that they look at that game and they go, oh, okay, well, you know what? We underestimated Darkwings a little too much. So now CLG have to just play, because that game, if you play out the last, 4-man approach to the game when Darkwings was the last man standing, and you play it slightly slower, the death timers are long enough that you can still end the game as CLG, right?
Yep.
And so it's just a slight slight error from CLG's side of, as Josh called it, running out of patience and just saying, oh yeah, we won this game. There's nothing that Darkwings can do. So I don't think that CLG have to really change anything up going into this next draft. They just need to remember to not, rush things even when closing out the game.
Indeed, Mark. As I believe it's about time, and I felt really bad last time. Your face just made me almost cry. So, Mark, please, Champ Select is ready. Take it. Take it away. Take it away, please.
Boom. I'm taking it. Bam.
Wow. Fly-loaded.
I am victorious.
You've gotten it back. Well, I agree, Mark. I feel like that series or that first game was indicative that, one, small decisions matter, right? CLG had done almost everything right that game. They used the Realm Orb to go bottom lane multiple times. They found a bunch of kills. They took down so many turrets, right? They were able to defend their own. They didn't give anything up for 40 minutes. And then all of a sudden, it was one decision. They were a little bit too fast. Prismal was not playing in such a way that prevented him from dying, right? He didn't play life. He did not give himself enough space away from spawn. And those two small decisions coming out from CLG are what allowed Dignitas to stay in the game. And again, I want to give a lot of praise to CLG because this was not an easy comp for them to play.
Right.
Right? We knew that they were going to have these difficulties throughout the course of the game, and they avoided those difficulties for 40 minutes. They didn't care about the fact that they were getting run down, that they were going to have to try and chase down the Zeri. They were able to do it anyway. And so the fact that CLG even made that game close, like if these two teams were to run this back again, I think CLG would win this probably 7 out of 10 times just because of how strong they are and how intelligently they play. They just made one mistake, and that was all it took.
And that's the thing about playing against Dignitas QNTMPAY Academy, right? This is a team that, yes, as we have talked about multiple times, a team we didn't expect to be playing, as well as they have been, even if it's only a middle of the pack standing for them. But this is a team that trusts each other on an individual basis, and everyone alls in and commits to the same play, whatever the decision is made for them. That's the thing that just makes Dignitas such a likable team. Yes, they're not the best team. They don't have the best individual players, but as a squad, as a unit, it's so cool to see those hero moments come out when they are able to turn the odds that are normally against them in their own favor and surprise teams like CLG in those last moments. And now we're heading into the pick and ban phase for our second game of the match and our final game of the day.
Yeah,
I'm down for another banger, Josh, just like that one.
I'm ready. I also want to give a bit of an update on the standings right after Dignitas pick up that win over CLG. Team Liquid went 2-0 today, as did Immortals, which means that even with a potential 2-0 coming out from Dignitas, they will remain 3 games behind the important part of the blob. Because 100 Thieves went 0-2 as well, it will mean that they are only 1 game out from that all-important 6th place that you really need to get in order to go directly to Proving Grounds, where you don't have to pass go and don't have to collect your $200. You can play for a lot more than that.
One big thing that I'm already seeing as a red flag for Dignitas and a huge boost of dopamine is the Gwen insta lock-in for CLG. It has escaped through the bans in the first round. And we have already praised and sung, just remarks about Dokla being one of the best players, performing players in Academy so far this split. And when you give him something like a Gwen, oh man. As Dignitas, that last game, they didn't play towards Eclipse at all during the top side of the map, and yes, he'll still have counterpick available, but if you don't stop Gwen early on, this champion just runs over the rest of the game.
Yeah. But let's not forget the fact that it could still be going over to Rose Thorn. We are still on 12-4, not 12-5 when Gwen takes all of the nerfs to her ability to actually clear out the jungle. So the fact that neither of them has switched over to Ghost just quite yet does mean that we are still in a position where it could be played by either side of the map. However, I also want to go back to the bottom lane where Prismal and Breezy going for a much more traditional, very strong bottom lane that we used to see with Lethality Vars, right? Halo Blades, Vars plus Tahm Kench has a crazy amount of early damage, and especially if you can start landing some of the Ws coming out from Tahm Kench, it becomes very, very difficult for the other team to deal with the early power that this duo does bring. So Prismal and Breezy, they went for the 2v2 dive earlier, and they almost got the double kill. Now they have an even stronger 2v2 going up against Spawn and JJ.
Alright, Dignitas very aware. As you called it out, this Gwen could still be flexed to Rose Thorn in the jungle. They're taking away some of Dokla's choice counter picks against what we imagine is going to be the Jace for Eclipse in the top lane. Another top laner that you could ban is something like maybe a Camille.
Yeah, I think you're a little bit less threatened by the Camille, potentially, but there's still a lot of things that Jace can struggle with, right? We've seen a couple other top laners just drop the carries and just go like, yeah, I'll play Malphite into your Jace. I'm not worried about it. I don't know if Dopla's that kind of guy, but we saw Viper do it, and I didn't think Viper was that kind of guy either, so who knows what they're going to be doing.
After a game like we just saw in game 1, maybe it would even humble Dokla out of all people to be like, yeah, I'll play the rock monster, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Dokla's been very outspoken on the fact that he thinks he is the best top laner in Academy, and stats agree with him. Most analysts and casters agree with that. And to his credit, like, Dokla definitely outperformed Eclipse in that last game.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, you know, how comfortable he feels. What does he feel like he needs to do? Is he willing to just beat up on Jace? Or is he going to be scared of the fact that XU on this Hecarim can just kind of run him down? There's not a lot of top laners that are particularly safe up against this duo because of the incredible amount of burst they're able to put out all at once. So lots of options are available from CLG, but they are similarly running into the same problem they had last time, where they don't have particularly strong engage, but they're also not going up against Azeri this time, so it's not nearly as concerning.
Notice here that C...
Oh, just kidding.
Oh! Okay, so not only Gwen confirmed for the top lane, but this is our first Nocturne of the Academy split. A jungler that we used to see all the time during last year in more than one lane. In mid,
yeah,
jungle, and top lane.
I wonder if there's another snake as well. Right, there's a lot of things that Dark Wings can play here that are just fine. He's going to be going with the Victor, a very standard pick. But I'm looking into how much Nocturne has been played so far, and in the major regions, it's only been played twice. Once by Canyon and once by Blabber. It won both of those games, but it just goes to show, like, this champion has kind of disappeared. It's received no bans. Not a lot of people are paying attention to it, but I really like what it does to a lot of teams, where if you don't have vision, you tend to clump on top of each other. It makes it very easy for all of your other AoE abilities to just hit everybody all at once. So it puts Dignitas in a bit of an uncomfortable position and gives CLG a very obvious go button for when things are actually going to be starting.
Yeah, and this is the second game in a row where we have just seen neither jungler go for the Jarvan or the Xin Zhao. It seems like those junglers have just disappeared off the map, and no nerfs to them either on recent patches. But I think the rest of Academy, as whether through the practice environment or the scrim environment, you can see that everyone is really just straying away from a lot of the junglers that had so much early game agency and being able to gank off of 3 camps and then just be super aggressive on the map. And we thought that, you know, maybe Rose Thorn would be one of the few junglers that would still stick to that path. You know, if it hasn't been nerfed yet, you know, then you don't need to fix what isn't broken yet. But Rose Thorn adapting to the times and, you know, not necessarily picking up one of the junglers we've already seen, but picking up a jungler that, you know, he used to play a lot back on Golden Guardians Academy last year.
Yeah, and let's be real, Nocturne, not a particularly interesting character mechanically. You have a couple of very simple buttons. You have a Q that does a bit of damage. You have a spell shield, which gives you attack speed, and you have a fear. And then you have your ultimate, right? But the thing this champion can do when you are thinking about the game in terms of denying vision, getting your opponents to group up, dissuading them from going from a fight, forcing people to just blow flashes is incredible. incredible. And we've already praised CLG for how intelligently they've been playing the League of Legends thus far. The only thing that they need to do is show us that they can use it to actually clean this up. We were not expecting them to be dropping a game to Dignitas, and now as we go into the next game, they're going to show us if they can continue to play that incredibly intelligent style to turn this into a 1-1.
And we're on to the Rift for our last game of the day, and CLG are pulling out a 5-man stack opener where Dokla is showing first to make them think it is just another standard.
I mean, Dignitas don't see anybody else yet on the map, so even though they do see Dokla, I don't expect anything else to really come of this. And luckily for CLG, they haven't shown anybody, so it's not obvious that there's nobody, but JJ and Spawn have the right idea. They walk down into the bottom side of the map. They get a ward on the red buff, and it does mean that they will know where Rosethorn is likely to be starting throughout this game. So, going to be fairly standard. Not a whole lot of exciting early game, at least level 1 stuff happening this time around. But I'm also going to be paying a lot of attention, Mark, to XU. Somebody that, surprisingly, probably for their first Dignitas game ever, we didn't talk a lot about last game. Right? He wasn't really doing a whole lot, but now that he's on the Hecarim, he's got a lot of choices. Is he going to try and go for a lot of early ganks? Is he going to try and go for a more tanky build and support Darkwings and Spawn? What does he want to do this game? And I feel like I would love to see a Trinity Force Hecarim at some point.
Oh, man, I'm telling you right now, Josh, I'm going to dash your hopes because I, too, would love to see the Chad Hecarim build. But a lot of the times, whenever you see Hecarims go for Phase Rush, it's usually the Chem Tank build because, yeah, I know. It's all about the hit and run playstyle. You get into the back line, and then you're just causing chaos, and you're zooming all over them, and then the Phase Rush and the movement speed kind of alleviates for the base damage that you lose out when you're not going the Trinity Force. If he was going the Trinity Force, then you would see a Conqueror instead.
Well, hopefully he gets a couple of kills and is able to decide, like, you know, let's actually be a chat about this.
Yeah, I mean,
let's get a lot of
that's also
damage.
possible. If XU just gets like 5 kills like he's done on the Lee Sin in past games, and he's like, man, it, right? I'm just going to build Trinity Force. I'm the carry now.
Yeah. We're also seeing, remember earlier in the day when we were seeing Pretty just really bully around Soligo as the Rise versus Galio? Now Darkwings is the one bullying Triple really heavily. As a fight happens in the top lane, I think this is to the death. No, not quite.
I was ready for it. Yeah,
I was ready.
Dokla and Clips not quite pulling the trigger on either their summoner spells. Good ward from Darkwings. He's going to spot out Rosethorn on in the middle of his full clear from top to bottom. This does mean that XU has sole control of the top side of the map in terms of junglers being able to spook the top laners. And Dokla is pushing in. He's got to be careful.
Yeah, this is a really tough counter matchup for the Gwen, right? Because Eclipse has so much control of when engagements are actually happening. And it means that Dokla has to be really good at what I've been calling the dance, right? As a melee character, you have to kind of do this constant shimmy back and forth to at least make Eclipse think that you're going to go in for an auto attack, even if you're not always going to. And that's the constant mind game that you have to play, and it's so difficult. And now Eclipse goes in by himself and tries Insect.
Oh, tries to go for the backhand, but it is a flash for Ghost. Actually, 2 Ghosts. XU and Eclipse burning both of their summoner spells. Dokla only burning the 1. So while Dokla isn't in the best state for that wave, he still gets out alive.
Bit surprised to see that that's how Eclipse chose to play that. I didn't think that there was a great play, but now, bit of a scuffle in the bottom lane, not going to result in much of anything. But as the jungler does show themselves in the top side, Rosethorn's now going to be scatting around, trying to see what he can find. And unfortunately for him, both of them have full cleared their own jungle, so there's not a whole lot of easy opportunities for Nocturne to try and make any plays. Just going to be happy with the fact that he's not going to be giving anything up and just going to be going back to his own jungle, try and clear.
So far, once again, we go back to the revelation that you had last game, Josh, is that most of the games today kind of on the slow side. Not too much bloodthirsty action, and maybe that's a reflection of how the junglers have slowly rotated in more heavy farmer junglers. No more the J4 and the Xin Zhao as we usually have seen in the past, which means less skirmishing opportunities and just more time to really just get a lot of resources in for the first few minutes before they really turn things up in the mid game.
I loved it when things turn up in the mid-game mark, because we are getting towards our first dragon, and neither jungler is particularly close to level 6 just quite yet, as I think they're going to be hitting level 5 here on their next couple of respective camps. But it does mean that we are unlikely to be going for a fight around this upcoming dragon, and I'm trying to decide who that really favors at this point in the game, because neither team, you know, has got a super obvious spike when the other team doesn't. I guess the biggest thing is that like Rosethorn can play in ways where XU can't really respond to him in the next couple of minutes, like once he actually gets level 6, but it's not because his team is like so far ahead in terms of power. It's just that he's a little bit faster on the map.
Oh, JJ gonna get caught out in rotation. What a great interrupt from Rosethorn and Breezy. They get the fear down. JJ might have cleared enough distance. Ignite comes out. A flash from Triple forces JJ's flash. Meanwhile, XU has returned towards the top side once again, and they will be picking up first blood for Eclipse's Jace.
There you go. Big play coming through. I mean, Dokla thinks he's pretty good, but he's got to respect this counter matchup. It's a huge lead already coming in for Eclipse. Up 10 CS, going to be denying. It looks like 2 full waves that Triple might be able to recover, but that's a lot of gold and a lot of experience that is not going to Dokla, even if Triple manages to pick it up.
Yeah, thankfully for CLG as a whole, at least someone is picking up that wave, because that was a ton of golden experience that was just about to die to the turret. And something that amused me was as soon as Triple dipped out a lane, there was just a bunch of question marks in the rivers like, Boris, get out. You can imagine
leave.
Dignitas is just saying, yo, Boris, get out. And Boris is probably saying, bro, I'm just trying to push in these plates, man. Come on.
That is exactly the kind of voice he would do it in too. But, I mean, he has to be very happy with the situation. Thus far, he's got a pretty big lead over Dokla. And it is not the easiest thing in the world for Dokla to turn this around, but his big opportunity will be coming rather soon when he hits level 6. And he has an ultimate, and Jace does not. And that is going to be his opportunity to potentially look for all-ins while he has Ghost, and Eclipse has no flash. And also, Rosethorn hitting level 6 fairly soon as well. So I would be very surprised if Eclipse didn't feel a lot of pressure in the next 60 to 180 seconds.
Yeah, he does have the first kill over Dokla, but he's got to remember that when XU is on the other side of the map, and now that there is a Nocturne with Paranoia available, you got to be careful about how far you overextend in that top lane. You could be potentially run down by a woman with scissors and... Or is it a doll? I think it's a doll with scissors. Like, oh, mid lane. A lot of damage down onto Darkwings. Rosethorn, though, cannot find the killing blow. Triple will be able to pick it up, but he overextends for it, and XU and JJ are here to clean up.
Mark, are we about to watch Dignitas 2-0 CLG?
Hold up. Hang on. It's only 7 minutes into the game, Josh.
Yeah, but Nocturne's first ult doesn't do anything. Dokla is behind against Eclipse, right? There's a lot of range coming out for Darkwings, for the rest of Dignitas. And this is not a lead that we should really be expecting them to have. So they are just like in a fantastic position to try and end it. I know I'm like cursing them a little bit already, like by saying that.
That's why I'm concerned. I'm like, wait, let the game play out. Replay's back up.
I mean, Rosethorn, just super deep. They didn't know where XU was. They weren't able to play around it. And Triple, in order to try and finalize his kill and make the Paranoia at least a little bit worth it, ends up just giving over another kill. So XU 1-0-2, 100% kill participation already. Absolutely insane play coming through. But we're also seeing Eclipse. Got to be really careful with these aggressive plays because at that tournament had Dokla. He's trying to all-in right now.
And Eclipse says, hey, horse, come help me out here. And Dokla has to speed out away. Onslaught of Shadows was used. Dokla, thankfully, with the Ghost, is able to keep his distance. But now, look at this huge minion wave that
Bottom
is
lane.
just getting suffered at the top side of the map. Meanwhile, bot lane's Prismal. Oh, man. Dignitas, the 2v2 bottom lane, wins out. Don't worry, JJ. No one saw the Magnet Storm.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. You did everything else correctly up until that point. So we'll give you a gimme on that one. But again, we're seeing Dokla and Eclipse continuing to build an advantage over for Eclipse. This is not how we typically expect this to be going. Eclipse is one of our top laners that has been thoroughly, decent this entire time. But beating Dokla in this counter matchup is still not something that you tend to see. Even in the LCK when we see this matchup all the time, it's not uncommon for Gwen to actually come out ahead because it only takes one mistake from the Jace for this to turn on its head.
And Dokla almost had the opportunity, right? Had XU not been there taking Rift Herald, which is probably why Eclipse was so confident in forcing that 1v1 from Dokla or ready to take it on anyway. Dokla, you can tell that he is the type of player that when he is down, he is not going to let it just pass by passively. He will aggressively and proactively look for ways to force his advantage back into his own hands. And right now, this is one of the very few times where you see Dokla on the struggling side of a matchup.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll have to come back to this fairly soon when these two guys start grouping up, because it's going to be a bit of an island for a little while longer up in the top lane unless XU chooses to go back up there. So it is a very tough position for the members of CLG. They are not very strong right now, and Rosethorn actually trying to contest this, but down a level.
He has Paranoia, though, and you can always turn out the lights on Dignitas, limiting their ability to be able to respond and coordinate as cleanly as you would like. Because it's very hard to do when you don't have even sight of your own teammates. Oh, Rosethorn just stealing away from the Gromp thanks to Breezy and Triple rotating on over. Now he's the same level, Josh, so...
True. But it's a very awkward position as there's a bit of a dance between these two teams. XU going in.
Wow. Onslaught of Shadows right onto Triple, and the Magnastorm follows up, picks up 2. Rosethorn turns out the lights, tries to turn it around, but a beautiful Moonlight Vigil from Spawn picks up Breezy on the back end. Rosethorn gets routed off, and Triple still on the run, still has Flash, should be able to get out alive.
Okay, I was wondering when XU was going to turn that one around. He does wisely decide, maybe this is not worth it to go underneath the turret, but this is another fight coming through where Dignitas, their composition is so much more straightforward, and they're using it to great effect. As we see, just trading across the map, but it's always going in favor of Dignitas every single time these two teams interact. And Prismal, is he okay?
Prismal forced to use the Chain of Corruptions, but JJ says, we're still going, buddy. You still don't have a way out of this one until you burn the Flash. Prismal now down. Ooh. That was close.
Close. I mean, good route coming through from Prismal, making sure that he is not going to be going down in that last engagement. We're going to take a look at this last fight as well, and I love the target selection coming out from XU, right? He goes on the Tom Kenshin because he gets the 2-for-1 in bringing people back into the rest of the fight. But unfortunately, turning out the lights doesn't do you a whole lot of good when you're already standing on top of each other. You already get to see the same amount that you were going to anyway, and it does mean that Dark Wings and the rest of Dignitas are just able to slowly crush down the HP bars of CLG with nothing in return. A 4,000 gold lead already coming through.
And XU getting prepared for a bottom lane little sneakaroo. However, I believe the ward from Breezy already spotted him out on the way down, so there's nothing really to hide here. But XU does have Rift Herald and wants to funnel even more gold into Spawn, who is currently sitting 1,000 gold ahead of Prismal right now, thanks to his participation in the fights and the 2v2 they had just a couple minutes ago.
Yep. And these plates go down. That's another bunch of money that is going to be going over towards the Dignitas bottom lane. Yep, Spawn gets half a kill off of that one, and more turret plates go down. It means that it is scarier and scarier for CLG's bottom lane to continue existing down here. But no dragons have been picked up just quite yet, Mark. Instead, going to be both teams jockeying around for control of the bottom half of the river. And what are you laughing about?
No, the word you used, jockeying, fits so well here because we have two horse characters here.
Oh, there you go.
Good job, Josh.
You're welcome. Definitely intentional. I had planned that the entire time. Don't let anyone tell you different.
Good patience from Eclipse and restraint as well, knowing that XU being on the bottom side of the map, Rosethorn could be on the top side and saying, you know what? If I push up way too far here, I could get dove. And I need at least one friend to be able to turn the tides of battle.
Well, is Rel that friend? Maybe. Is Triple that friend?
Uh-oh. It's no longer 2v2, it's now 2-on-3.
Oh, Wismal.
Prismal wants to take the red buff. Oh, but he doesn't have flash or heal from before. Prismal's going to get routed off. Surely, Chain of Corruption's not enough, and Prismal gets taken out by Spawn. And the rest of CLG, they can't pull the trigger on the top lane dive either just because JJ's there to protect Eclipse as well.
I mean, Dignitas are just playing this in such an unusual way for Dignitas, right? This is the most controlled I think I've seen this team basically ever, as they get an entire turret going over, a kill and a half getting picked up for Spawn. And Rosethorn, He's trying to find something to do, but there's just not a whole lot for him to pick up. He's going to get this red buff, but like that is a consolation prize of consolation prizes, right? There's not a whole lot for them to do, as it does mean that this dragon... Oh, they're still not doing the dragon. They're still just waiting.
No,
but
they're
Eclipse...
reacting towards the top side of the map. The Realm Warpers come in. Triple and Rosethorn have cut off the way from Eclipse, and now Eclipse trying to cut off the minion wave as much as he can. Dives onto Triple back, but the turret aggro juggling from CLG is clean, and they take down Eclipse.
CLG not going quietly. Does mean that one kill going over to Dokla. He has like narrowed down a lot of this CS differential, right? It's 10 now, but it used to be like 30. So he's very happy with the way that he has been able to go with the recent part of the lane. But CLG, they need to continue making these plays. This is the part of the game where you need to try and find something, catch out members of Dignitas slipping. And if you can pick up this dragon and start putting a counter clock onto the members of Dignitas, that would be really, really strong. You just don't want to take a fight for it yet.
The other thing, too, for Dignitas is, even though Eclipse does go down in that fight, that was a play that CLG were essentially waiting for the right opportunity, and they spent a lot of time dipping into the mid wave, clearing it out, and dipping back towards the top side. It's like, okay, can we pull this play off now? And then it took them, I think, 3 rotations of waves before they eventually got it off. But Dignitas got so much on the back end, on the bottom side of the map. Spawn is hugely accelerated, and Triple still has flash, so he can keep his distance here. Rosethorn and Breezy aiding in reinforcements, pushing Dignitas back. Still, so far, no one is gunning for the dragon quite yet.
Whoa.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, well, thankfully, Breezy is able to use Devour at a great time, keeps Triple alive. That was close.
Yeah, I mean, it ends up being an ultimate used by Breezy and Triple's flash for XU's Ghost. So ultimately, not that much of a deficit coming through for the members of Dignitas. They're very okay. And Prismal.
Oh, Prismal, you have flash. He's able to distance himself.
He's a
Blast
genius.
Cone. Oh my goodness. But
He's dead.
Just onslaught of shadows, and Breezy can't help him. He turns towards him and is like, oh yeah, I already used Devour. Sorry.
My bad. You could tell he was trying to go over towards the Tom Kent and is like, yeah, sorry, I just used it. There's nothing I can do here. But Rosethorn trying to get something done. They do pick up the dragon for the members of CLG, but this is a larger deficit than the dragon matters. And so I'm a little bit surprised, actually, that there are no objective bounties currently available to the members of CLG. Remember when Dignitas had objective bounties while they were ahead in gold? Yeah, I don't understand objective bounties at all, man. Like, when do you get them? When do you not get them? What are going to be the tools that you need in order to get them to pop up? Dignitas, still very happy with their situation, though. Up 6,000 gold, down 1 dragon. But with the amount of pressure that they're able to put on, with the amount of range that Jace and Victor have between the two of them, and the ability to go, it is very difficult for CLG to try and find something. And so we're going to have to see whoever's been doing their shot calling, whoever's been moving them around the map, is going to have to really bring them into a very tough situation. He's going to have to take some risks that CLG doesn't normally take.
Well, Eclipse show the same amount of patience. Uh-oh. Rosethorn comes in with the paranoia. Fear is still leashed and attached, and he gets the movement speed boost. CLG making it happen. Rosethorn almost goes down, but he gets out.
There you go. I mean, that's really hard to show patience for, too, right? But that's the kind of thing you have to be doing as this Nocturne. You have to be punishing people who are not patient in Eclipse. Losing the flash is suddenly getting a target painted on his back. So that's the second time that Rosethorn has been able to take down this top laner. We'll see if they can continue doing that, because CLG last game were really, really good at punishing people off in the side lanes. Triple with the Realm Warp over and over, just constantly harassing people. I think they can try and do it again.
XU now popping the Rift Herald. This is the second one of the game. This will take down the mid-tier 1 tower. And now Dignitas will get an all-access pass to the jungle quadrants. It's insanely easier to be able to traverse through these 2 parts of the map when there is no turret. And the Rift Herald will even live long enough to get a second charge as CLG finally answer back and defend the rest of the wave from being able to crash.
But Dignitas, as you said, all access pass, now taking control of the jungle quadrant from CLG. And this is something where I don't think we've seen Dignitas in this kind of position all that often, right? Usually when they're ahead, it's based off of the fact that XU is an absolute monster. And he's ahead right now, but he's not just a dominating force all on his own as he takes away a red buff.
He is just a giant meat shield and a giant tank, but he can find an engage opportunity if Spawn has the damage available. But the rest of CLG back off. It is an instant flash from Breezy that keeps the rest of CLG from being able to engage further.
Yeah. But as I was saying, like, it's unfamiliar territory for them, so I'm curious how they play now that they have this lead that is on Darkwing, that is on Spawn, that is on JJ, and it's not really, you know, the guy that we normally look to. So I'm going to pay a lot of attention to how Darkwings plays, right? We pumped him up a lot at the beginning of the day. He had an insane glow up in the last game, able to pump out the DPS, but he's on Victor, and Victor doesn't have the most agency in the world. He's very good at punishing mistakes that your opponents make, but CLG are the kind of team that don't make a lot of easily punishable mistakes.
You have to overextend as CLG to be really taken advantage of by Darkwings on this Victor, right? And otherwise, it's all about controlling choke points, using the gravity zone to prevent CLG from being able to barge their way into those entrances for the objectives. But we haven't really been playing for objectives this much this game, Josh. It's really just been the 2 Rift Heralds and 1 Dragon taken off the table. We're not even at the point of the game where the map changes to reflect which soul we're going to get.
Yeah. I also want to point out that Dignitas definitely want to be in locations first. They have a lot of poke. They want to force their opponents to face check them. And, you know, to give a shout out to Arla's Tefra, who's the person who used this quote originally, Sun Tzu says, if we can get river control, they have to walk through Victor, W, and R.
Well, Eclipse finds himself on the back end of getting dove once again. No tower can save him. And Rosethorn and Dokla just made... Oh, no way! We're just starting the Baron!
We're just doing it. Just going for it. This is very, very bold. CLG has enough members to try and contest, and Dokla has a flash.
JJ turns around, looks for Prismal and Breezy. He gets swallowed up, but the Devourer cannot save you from just getting stampeded on. And now Dignitas, yes, they lost on an Eclipse, but he'll be spawning in 13 seconds. He has teleport. He can join the fight. Rosethorn does not have Paranoia either.
Okay, well, they did a great job punishing the individual members. CLG did not come in as a group, and CLG, now they're just down a member. This is a tough contest, but there's no way for Dignitas to turn. They have to commit to burning this.
Eclipse has teleported in. He's looking for the flank. Dokla stepping far forward. Eclipse gets him to the skies, and now they're pushing them back. Accelerated Shock Blast puts a lot of damage. Dignitas will turn back to the Baron. 2,000 HP. Rosethorn trying to force his way. He's flashing over the wall. Dignitas immediately turn back to the Baron, and they say, we can burn it down. There's no one that can stop us from taking the objective. Dignitas with the Baron at 22 minutes.
Incredibly disciplined coming out from Dignitas. Every time CLG got too close, they would lash out like that snake, right? Every single time the CLG tried to come in, Dignitas would try and punish them, but they didn't have the tools to do it. They were constantly on the Baron at the same time. They didn't want to give up their DPS. So really, really good stuff coming out from Dignitas. But now they have their buttons. XU has his ultimate available. The Dragon is already here, and there are objective bounties. So CLG, they want to start playing for this, but I don't know if they're going to have an opportunity to.
And they might just catch out Breezy. He doesn't have flash from before.
He's waiting. Oh,
he is
man.
super deep, and he doesn't even get a chance to pop the Gray Shield. Dignitas just taking no prisoners whatsoever. The Baron buff will allow them to hit this tier 2 turret, knocks it down once again. And the Dragon is still available for them to take on the back end, but Darkwings looking to potentially run down Dokla. He pops the Ghost. Darkwings, does he actually win this 1v1? It's enough to force Dokla back, looking for the last needlework. Darkwings has to be careful. Triple's trying to split on the top side of the map. Meanwhile, during all of this, Dignitas is still pushing in through the mid lane because both of the solo laners are splitting on the other sides of the map.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get this, but if I can get a replay of them catching out Breezy, I want to point out a couple things when we go to it. But now, Rosethorn needs to be careful. He's going to be the prey.
No, Onslaught of Shadows captures Rosethorn. He still doesn't have flash, but it's not enough damage on the follow-up. But it does force Rosethorn back. Prismal is not quite here yet. It's only Breezy and Dokla. Prismal making his way, but they've cut off the minion wave. They've taken out the turret. They are getting so much value off of this one Baron play from Dignitas. And against a team like CLG, this is beyond our expectations of how the game was going to go. And Darkwings, don't tell me he's going to solo kill Triple. Okay, he's got the phase rush. He gets out.
He's good, yeah. I mean, well, we've also seen this before, right? This was a very similar position to where CLG is in. But, Mark, I'm not going to talk about it the same way because we don't have the same kind of fallback mechanisms that Dignitas had last game, right? Spawn was constantly scaling up, and the Varus doesn't have the same kind of tools later on in the game. But
Rosethorn and Triple on the flank here.
Gotta go.
Can they find Spawn? They have to go for, okay, they go for Eclipse 1. Triple's now onto Spawn at the back line, but the flank timers are not quite as synced up. And Spawn finds the angle with the Gale Force flashing forward, takes out Rosethorn and Dokla. Triple now in a very bad spot, completely separated from his members. That is finds Spawn with the triple Dignitas. Can they just end the game right here?
They potentially could. 25 seconds before Rosethorn and Doklo are back up. Exy trying to find one more.
He's punting him right towards Spawn, looking for the Quadra, but the timer runs out. No official Penta can come through, even if Breezy steps up too far forward. But Josh, Dignitas, the unlikeliest of outcomes. Maybe one game they could have taken away, but a full-on sweep against one of the top 2 teams of Academy. Dignitas are coming into the late game of Academy and leveling on up.
Oh my god, I was not expecting Dignitas to take 2 games here, Mark. That's absolutely insane. They're keeping themselves right in the thick of it. They're keeping themselves right in the middle of the blob so they can potentially play for that 6th place spot. I knew that this was going to be one of their toughest matchups coming up, because from here on out, it should be relatively easy. If you can take down CLG in this dominant of a fashion, Dignitas should absolutely be ready to go to Proving Grounds. They just need to keep up this momentum.
This is incredible growth and incredible just signs of performance. And it's catching me so off guard, trying to deal with a migraine all day and cast through all this, and now I guess my throat is giving out as well. But man, Dignitas, well done, and huge props to you guys. We're going to be going for a break. When we come, never mind.
Oh, no break.
Not quite
no
yet.
breaks. No breaks on the Dignitas train.
We will reminisce a little bit more on this and celebrate Dignitas' 2-0 win further. And as you already mentioned, this is great for them in the standings. The other thing, too, is that with Dignitas finding a surge like this against, this wasn't against a team in the clump. This wasn't against a team in the bottom stand. This is CLG. They have been at the top with Golden Guardians for almost the entire split. And so Dignitas finding the strength of this win this late into the Academy split is a great way to cement themselves as they make a run for that top 6. Now, we'll be going to break, and when we come back, Mazel will be on the interview desk with Dignitas.
just nothing. Ooh, what are you? People talk loud, I get what they're telling me. I fucked up, I didn't give a bit. Ooh, what a chew. Hey, I gotta say, something's going wrong, and everything's upside down. I'm falling. Hey, I gotta say, I'm always on a run. I'm getting closer to the light. By the time I'm changing my remedy, blowing up, I get sick and tired of this. What a truth. No one talk now, I'm feeling lost on it. Silence is loud, I get it safe from it. What a truth. Hey, I gotta say, something's going wrong, and everything's upside down. I'm falling. Hey, I gotta say, I'm always on a run. I'm getting closer to the light. And everything's going down. Yeah, everything's going down. Hey, I gotta say, something's going wrong, and everything's upside down. I'm falling. Hey, I gotta say, I'm always on a run. I'm getting closer to the light, and everything's going down. Yeah, everything's going down. And everything's going down. Yeah, everything's going down.
Welcome back, everyone. Dark Wings.
Wait,
Hi.
that's my headset's on.
I don't think that you're looking at the right feed. Wait, right? Like, welcome back, everyone. I am here with our post-game interview. I've got Dark Wings with me from Dignitas after breaking the 1-1 curse, especially against a 2-0 or with a 2-0 victory over one of the top teams at Academy, CLG. I just got to break down game number 1 first of all, Dark Wings, because my dude, what was the communication like? What was the breakdown? Because you guys were losing for like, you guys didn't take a tower for 40 minutes into the game. Tell me how that experience was for you.
I mean, in communication, we're just okay, guys. Like we scale, we just make sure and we can come back. So we just like defend every play that made, like even though we like
And the
fucked up,
the
but in the
Cassiopeia
end,
definitely
we
helping out with that
came
one.
out.
Your final line of defense there to kind of turn the momentum of the game. Did you guys feel all of a sudden that this game is yours after that base defense?
Yeah, I was like, it's winnable. Okay, it's actually winnable now. We can win the
Not
game.
too bad, not too bad. Well, in the second game, it was a lot of different of a game. I feel like, in a different setup for you guys. You guys were controlling from the get go in that game itself. Was there any kind of calm down period for you guys between the games because that first game was so hypey and knowing you guys needed to have a bit of a mental reset going into game two?
Yeah, definitely. We were pretty worked up, so we just like we walked out of the room, we took our breaks, and then we did a little meditation, and then we're ready for the next game.
I love the meditation aspect of it. That's super sick. Well, you guys are making a trudge into the top 6 here and cementing yourself in that top 6. You only have a few weeks left here into the Academy split. How do you feel like the team has set themselves up for success looking forward into Proving Grounds?
I think we definitely had like a rough like block for the past couple of weeks, but I think um this week we started like actually fixing our problems, and I think we have like a better idea on how to keep fixing them. So I think we'll be ready for Proving Grounds.
It's always a work in progress, ain't it? With a wonderful team like that. I also got word from you beforehand, before this interview, that it was just a bit of a home state taco diff, some breakfast tacos. That's all you need to win the series against
Oh, yeah.
CLG.
The breakfast tacos are really good. This place called Homestay we go to like before every match, and we always like are prepared after that.
I love it. I'm gonna have to get the address there, 'cause I'm definitely a breakfast stand here. So gotta go get some of that Dignitas good stuff there for sure. Last little bit here for you, Dark Wings. Do you have any shout outs? Anybody you want to talk about before we let you go?
Definitely want to shout out my team for like trusting in me, and like yeah, we all made everything work together.
I love to hear it. Love to the team as well. Well, thank you so much, Dark Race, for joining me. I really appreciate your time. Go enjoy these 2-0 dubs, but get ready for the games tomorrow.